Did you know that Hannibal's father, Hamilcar Barca, ordered the 9-year-old Hannibal dip his palm in blood and swear an oath of hatred against Rome? After being sworn to a lifelong hatred of the Romans, Hannibal launched one of the most famous attacks in military history. Hannibal, the Carthaginian general, was one of history's most outstanding military leaders. That's not all. Beauty indeed lies in the details. Remember to subscribe. Let's start and dive right into the video. Hannibal famously led a Carthaginian army, including 38 elephants, over the Alps and into Rome's territory. Hannibal lived right next to the Republic for almost 20 years, always outsmarting and surprising them. Hannibal would be remembered in history as Rome's greatest enemy despite failing to deliver the mighty blow. Hannibal was born in 247 BC in Carthage, now Tunisia. Carthage ruled North African trade. His father, Hamilcar Barca, was a famous general who fought the Romans in the First Punic War, 264 to 241 BC. The peace pact deprived the Carthaginians of Mediterranean island territories and placed severe financial penalties on them. Hamilcar thought that claiming land and resources on the Iberian Peninsula was the best way for his city to get ahead. At just 9, Hannibal was urged by his father to join him on his campaign in Spain, having the little boy make an oath to never be a friend of Rome. It was an oath Hannibal kept till his death. For the next 9 years, Hamilcar led a successful campaign in Iberia, conquering provinces and sending riches back to Carthage. Growing up in such an environment gave Hannibal the educational foundation he needed to become one of history's greatest military commanders. After his father was killed in combat, Hannibal's brother-in-law, Hasdrubal the Fair, seized leadership of the army and began consolidating Carthaginian successes in the area. He even signed a pact with Rome, guaranteeing that neither side would cross the Ebro River. Hasdrubal the Fair was killed, and Hannibal, 26 at the time, took over as leader of the invasion force. It didn't take long for the peace treaty with Rome to fall apart. Hannibal took advantage of Rome's connection with the city of Saguntum, south of the river Ebro, to declare war against the Republic. Hannibal took Saguntum in 218 BC after an 8-month siege. Rome then gave Carthage an ultimatum: give up Hannibal or go to war. The wealthy lords of Carthage had been enjoying the Iberian Peninsula's bountiful treasures, and so supported their young general. The Second Punic War had begun. Taking the war to Rome, Hannibal pulled off the first of many military coups by successfully crossing the Pyrenees and Alps into northern Italy. His army of about 40,000 troops, 8,000 cavalries, and 38 elephants had to fight the rugged terrain, harsh weather, and native tribes. Hannibal's force had been weakened by about 50% by the time they emerged on the other side 17 days later, including the loss of most elephants. However, Hannibal quickly made up for his numbers by recruiting men from the local community by presenting himself as a liberator. Surprised, Rome dispatched 2 consular armies to confront Hannibal. The first army, led by Publius Cornelius Scipio, was easily defeated at the Battle of Ticinus. In the same way, Hannibal got rid of the second Roman army led by Tiberius Sempronius Longus. He did this by cleverly luring his enemy onto good ground and then surrounding them. Hannibal's numbers grew following the triumph as local cities shifted loyalty to his cause. Hannibal started moving south in the spring of 217 BC. The consular soldiers of Gnaeus Servilius and Gaius Flaminius blocked the 2 primary roads to Rome. Hannibal took a third route, the Arno River Valley, proving his brilliance again. The area was an extensive marshland that had been declared unusable by the Romans, who had left it unattended. Hannibal's army crossed it in 4 days, although at a high cost of lives, and Hannibal himself lost one of his eyes due to an infection caught during the crossing. Hannibal then marched behind Flaminius' lines, cutting off the Roman consul's path to Rome. Flaminius had no choice but to rush after Hannibal, who was now waiting for him near Lake Trasimene. Hannibal's men shocked the Romans with an attack, which went down in history as the largest ambush. It was a massacre. Half of the 30,000 Roman troops were killed in battle, including Flaminius, or drowned in the lake while attempting to flee. Since the Gauls attacked Servilius's army by surprise, it was easy for Hannibal to get to Rome. He'd left all of his siege weaponry on the other side of the Alps, so he bypassed Rome and began campaigning in central and southern Italy to spark a local revolt. In the capital city, Rome made the general Quintus Fabius Maximus their dictator in what seemed like a last effort to save their beloved republic. Fabius took a different approach and declined to engage Hannibal in open combat, instead choosing to pursue him around Italy and control his movements. This tactic angered Rome, which saw Fabius' tactics as cowardly. As the Carthaginian general destroyed the southern Campania region, where many Roman nobles owned land, Fabius' time in charge was now in danger. In late 217 BC, Fabius appeared to be regaining credibility when he seemed to have Hannibal cornered in a region of Campania. Hannibal, on the other hand, had other intentions. As night fell, the surrounding Roman forces noticed a trail of light and sound leading into a wood near one of the area's guarded passes. When the neighboring Roman force left their post to investigate, Hannibal's army sneaked out of Fabius' trap. Hannibal had ordered a column of cattle with flaming torches fastened to their horns to create a tactical distraction. After getting away from Fabius, Hannibal took the lead and took Cannae. It was an important supply depot. Fabius' dictatorship ended, and Rome elected 2 new consuls to take on Hannibal, Gaius Terentius Varro and Lucius Aemilius Paulus. This time, Rome combined its 2 armies into one, with Varro and Paulus commanding each day. The force was estimated to number roughly 80,000 people. Hannibal's military brilliance shined through once more when the 2 armies clashed at the Battle of Cannae in 216 BC. With Varro in command on the day of the battle, Hannibal took advantage of his opponent's arrogance by positioning his weaker light army troops in the center of his line and the heavier soldiers on the sides. Although the Romans enjoyed the numerical edge, Hannibal's tactics would see that advantage vanish before Varro's eyes. The strong troops on the sides held firm as Hannibal's light force was pushed back. The densely packed Roman lines moved deeper into Hannibal's central portion, forming a half-moon shape. The Romans were soon surrounded on both sides, and when Hannibal's cavalry attacked them from behind, they were effectively trapped. It is claimed that up to 70,000 Romans died due to the encirclement, making the defeat one of the deadliest in Roman history. Rome ultimately accepted the lessons Fabius had been attempting to teach them and declined to face Hannibal in open combat again. Hannibal's battle in Italy halted, and he could not seize Rome and terminate his rule of Italy because Carthage declined to supply him with supplies, siege equipment, and soldiers. Soon after, the Romans launched a campaign in Spain to regain lands lost to the Carthaginians. Hannibal was called back to Carthage in 203 BC because a Roman army led by Scipio Africanus had landed in North Africa. Scipio Africanus was the son of Publius Cornelius Scipio, who Hannibal had defeated before. Scipio was more brilliant than his opponent at the Battle of Zama in 202 BC. He gave Hannibal's army a fatal blow from which it could not recover. The Second Punic War came to an end. Carthage was subjected to harsh penalties and restrictions following the war. Hannibal entered politics in his hometown to help its residents escape their mess. He was so successful that Carthage appeared rich again within a few years after Zama. An anxious Rome, along with hostile Carthaginian noblemen, criticized Hannibal to the point where he realized he had to quit his kingdom or risk being handed over to the Romans. Hannibal became the military advisor to the Seleucid king Antiochus, the third in Anatolia, Turkey. He stayed there until the Battle of Magnesia in 190 BC, where Rome defeated Antiochus. Fearing for his life as part of the peace pact, Hannibal escaped to Bithynia and sought asylum with King Prusias. The prospect of Roman revenge never left Hannibal, and with forces closing in on him again, he resolved to kill himself by drinking poison, probably between 183 and 181 BC. That's all, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. Do subscribe to get updates about what's new on our channel. Catch you in the next video.